Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to do something much more casual, laid back. Obviously, I'm sitting here on my bed. I have Linus asleep next to me. Corey's downstairs just resting. We had his post-op appointment today. And then he healed all as well. He got his stitches out. And Crew was napping. And so I kind of wanted to do a video for anyone who's like, how can I help my child while schools are closed? So yeah, if you want to see, what tips I have for helping your student while they're at home, keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Make sure you like this video. Also hit that post notification bell so anytime I upload, you will be notified. I'm going to be uploading a boatload because I'm off this week. And then I have 2 weeks for spring break, and I don't know what's going to happen after the fact, After that, we'll see. We got to see what's going on. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump down into the video. Okay, so some of you might be like, your videos are about makeup or like mom stuff. Why are you talking about how can you help your student? Well, for those of you who don't know, I am a special education teacher. And I teach at the middle school level. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade SI Science, or SAI, which is Specialized Academic Instruction. A lot of my students have like a specific learning disability. I have a few OHI, so like your ADHD students. I do have a few students that have autism. So the world is just straight shooketh, like shook to the core right now, okay? Because coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it, has taken the world and the globe by storm. And, everything is closed. Amusement parks are closed. Sporting events are canceled. My husband was supposed to be going to March Madness. He's not going. Life is like shutting down. People are in quarantine. People are self-quarantining. Social distancing. Whatever you want to call it. People are being proactive. We've been told by the government that we need to stay indoors. And so with that being said, schools nationwide are closing. And it's left a lot of parents, I personally think it has left a lot of parents very nervous. It has left, educators alike very nervous. And more or less, I'm speaking from a special ed standpoint, more or less of, how are students going to get serviced? And, how, parents are like, how, I don't know how to teach my child, and it's okay. I've been in meetings with parents where they're like, I don't know how to help my child. And so that's where people like me come in, and because that's what I went to school for. And so I really just felt like I wanted to use my platform to, help parents, whether you have a student who, does have a learning disability, or even just has a harder time learning. It necessarily doesn't mean that your child has a learning disability. I just wanted to share some helpful tips with you of how you can best utilize, even if it's an hour, 30 minutes a day for an educational purpose. So with that being said, first and foremost, I tell every single parent this. If a child on my caseload, and a caseload I have so many students whose IEP, which is an individualized education plan, whose IEP I monitor and I do. And so at all of my, IEP meetings, which happen once a year with my students, I tell every single parent, read, and read. If your child wants to read comic books, let your child read comic books. If your child wants to read, I know it's really big. One series is like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. My students read that. Any type of reading is going to be beneficial for your child or for your student. Now, obviously, I'm going to say encourage academic reading, and what I mean by academic reading, encourage reading that uses academic language, or those like higher thinking words that are going to, test your student and force your student to sound the words out. Or even, hey, I read this word, like quarantine. Perfect example. A student could read the word quarantine because it's plastered all over the news, social media. Academic words are those words that a child can hop online and Google, what does quarantine mean? What does virus mean? Anything. And I teach science, so I'm going to be referring to, science related words. But any reading, but if your child shows any interest in the reading, or they have any type of buy-in to reading, encourage academic reading. There are, websites that you can go on. I utilize in my classroom. We use timeforkids.com. That's a great one. It has options where, it's all current events, science related, world history, pop culture, and you name it, that type of current event is on there. And some of the articles have a little microphone, and your child can press that microphone, and if they have headphones, sorry, I can't talk. If they have headphones, their computer will read them the article, and so they're hearing that academic language be read to them, which is amazing. There's also science news for students. That's another one that's constantly being uploaded with anything and everything science. There's also Doggo News, which is, it's DOGO, and I'll link these websites in the description bar. Doggo News, that's another one I use in my classroom. English, history, science. They have math, they have environment, they have art. You name it, it's on there. Second off, another thing, activity that parents can do at home. And you can, if you have paper and scissors and a pen, you can cut up and make some flashcards and do your basic math skills. I am so surprised at how many students have a hard time just recalling those basic math facts. And so your basic addition, subtraction. Kids need to learn their subtraction skills. Kids have addition on lock pretty, like, it's, they do an okay job with that, but the subtraction and the multiplication, woo. Division, basic fractions, any basic math skill. And you parents, you can honestly just Google basic math, skills, basic fractions. And if you have you could make a flashcard that shows 1/4 equals 25% equals 0.25. If you can do those, basic 1/4, 3/4, a whole, any type of basic math skill, you can put it on a flashcard, and utilize that. Now, these are all activities, mind you, that to do up until your child's school district or school provides, lessons for remote learning, which basically is like any learning that's taking place at home. Once your school district or your child's school site provides, activities for remote learning, then obviously you're going to go and do that. But in the meantime, if you're, hanging out at home and you're like, how can I help my child? These are where all my tips are coming in. That's just my little, plug and disclaimer in there. Anyways, last but not least, writing. There is so much uncertainty right now. So many questions your child probably has. Oh my goodness, do these children have questions? And you know what? Let's welcome these questions from our children. Let's welcome the curiosity of what's going on in the world around them. Because right now, these kids, this is a huge nationwide, worldwide issue that's going on, and children are seeing their parents sitting there being like, oh my gosh, children might notice that their parents are bulking up, buying bulk at the grocery store, and that's very not common. Children might be overhearing their parents talk about, what could happen with, the economy. Sorry if you hear snoring. Linus is right here. So journal. Have your children set a timer for 3 to 5 minutes and just say, you know what, honey, I want you to journal your thoughts. I want you to put your thoughts down on paper. Have your child put their thoughts down on paper, and then have them give you the paper. After they give you the paper, have them, go play or go do whatever. And then you as the parent who in this, is being their, like educator or their helper basically, go through and make any corrections. And what I mean by corrections is, capitalization, spelling, punctuation. And really for punctuation, focus on the use of periods, the use of questions, question marks, exclamation marks, and quotations. Commas, I've noticed, tend to be fairly subjective, and so if you really want to be a stickler on the punctuation and you personally, want your child to appropriately use commas, you can look for commas. Me personally, I'm like, if a kid knows how to use a period, question mark, exclamation mark, and quotations, I'm kind of good, in the scheme of things. And then later on, have your child sit back down and rewrite their journal entry with those corrections. It's basically in the time being while you are waiting for guidance from your child's school district or from your child's school site as far as, if remote learning is going to take place, is the school year going to be, is there going to be an extended school closure? Really just focus on that basic reading, encourage your child to read academic language related text. Basic math skills on flashcards, can't go wrong. I'm telling you right now, you cannot go wrong. Another thing I've noticed in regards to math skills, if your child is in like middle school, a lot of times children have a really hard time with like graphing points on a graph, like an X and Y. Vertices, a X point and a Y point on a graph. So, there's worksheets like that you can do even online. And then just your basic writing, have your child journal. And what that's going to do by having your child journal, you're just encouraging that flow and that, activity of writing. But yeah, and then if your child, has questions, answer them. Also, don't be ashamed, parents, to reach out to your school district. Or, like I said, there's so much uncertainty right now. And, as an educator, I love when parents have questions. I love when parents want to know what they can do to help their children. And so, yeah, these are my few little quick tidbits of how to help your child. Also, if you're a parent of a high schooler or you have a child who is going to get into high school, now would be a perfect time to teach about how to balance a checkbook. Now would be a wonderful time on how to teach your child how to budget for a month. If you get paid such amount each month, how much goes into savings, goes, to bills, goes to personal use. Also, it would be a great time to practice basic living skills. If you have a child who doesn't know how to cook, guess what? Teach them how to cook a few basic things. Let's take this time to, obviously help keep the education going, with those basic reading, writing, and math skills. But let's also go back to an old school way of, let's teach our children how to balance your checkbook, do a budget, basic chores. If you have a child who doesn't know how to do laundry, let's teach them how to do laundry right now. Let's teach a child how to cook. If you have a child who doesn't know how to mow a yard, the yard, and you have that, a lawnmower or edger available, let's teach your children how to, mow a yard, how to clean up after themselves. But yeah, if you guys, liked this video, I hope that those of you watching, have been able to have your mind eased a little bit as far as, how can I help my student at home? Just reading, academic language, writing, journal, let's get that communication flowing, and basic math skills. And just remember, your district and your child's school site is working tirelessly and extremely hard, to provide remote learning resources and to provide as much of a normal education that your child can possibly have right now in such an unsure time. And so just know that we're all in this together. We're all figuring this out as we go. And, let's take lemons and make lemonade, because that's where I'm at right now. So, yeah, if you like this video, make sure to, like it. And I would love your comments down below if you try any of these tips and tricks, you know, if they work for your child or if they work for your student. But yeah, let's let the learning continue. So yeah, I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.